Welcome to the Midweek Mailbag, your Detroit Lions midweek podcast where we answer all of your Detroit Lions questions, which we get through Twitter, which we get through our Pride of Detroit Direct subscription, subscriber guys, peoples, and that's it. Just those two spots. Sorry, people who DM me. I don't look at those anymore because there's too many spams. My name, by the way, is Jeremy Reisman. You can find me at Detroit Online on any of the socials that you want to find me on. With me, as always, is the managing editor of Pride of Detroit, and you can find him at Erik Schlitt on Twitter. It's Erik Schlitt. How we doing, buddy?
Hey, bud. It's, we're about halfway through, maybe a little over halfway through camp, it feels like.
Yeah.
Right? I think we're a little over. So we should have good base of information so far, and there's not a lot of time left to make some of those important decisions. So it's an exciting time of the year.
Basically, our 53-man roster predictions are correct at this point. That's what you're trying to say. Absolutely nothing else can happen that will shake things up. We're right.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. That makes me happy.
Actually, there is one thing that always tends to mess up everyone's 53-man roster, and unfortunately that's where we're going to start with the midweek mailbag. That is injuries. So Russell D, one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, asks, after all the fractures sustained by the Lions players last year, is it time to admit that perhaps Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have built a team that plays and hits so hard that they are a danger to themselves? It's understood that football is inherently dangerous, but there are limits to what the human body can endure.
So, okay. I get the idea behind it. I get the logic, or the thought process, I guess I should say.
Sure.
The first thing I want to point out is, one, the broken bones happened against opponents last year. It wasn't necessarily, there was some friendly fire, but it was during a competition, right?
Sure.
But secondly, from the way we kind of understand it, is that Dan is trying to get their bodies physically prepared for that contact so that injuries don't happen. So it's almost like the opposite. And you see this with other sports, right? If we're talking fractures, I think we look at a sport like MMA, where these guys constantly train their bodies and their limbs for physical impact. And then in the theory behind that is that their bones become more accustomed to it, become more, I guess, aggressively hardened. But even then, you see bones break in other sports all the time. So I don't think there's necessarily like, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And I don't know if we can point to a physical practice leading to injuries. I know it's easy to and logical to say that, but I don't know. There's two very different schools of thought in preparing your body for the physicalness of the NFL, and you see teams take two different approaches. You see some teams that don't hit it, barely hit at all, and other teams that hit a lot. So I know that this team likes to hit, and they do it with the ideology that you're preparing your body for that physicalness.
Yeah, I took this question because, we get a lot of questions about the injury stuff and what's happening. Why is this only happening to the Lions? And I think part of that is it's not, right? It is happening to other teams quite often. And it's hard to gain a perspective of that without knowing the exact numbers, without being able to compare the exact numbers. Sure. And obviously last year was an anomaly for the Lions in terms of just how extensive the injuries were last year. Some people are, they're calling for this health department to get fired. They're saying Dan's running them too hard in practice. But of all the theories, this is the one that resonates with me a little bit. And
okay.
And to be clear, I don't think that necessarily means that the Lions are doing anything wrong, right? They want players to be very physical. They want guys to give it their all. They want their corners to tackle. All those things. They encourage contact in ways that maybe other teams don't as much. Obviously, everyone wants their team to tackle well, but I don't think what Russell is saying is that the Lions are practicing too hard. They're being too aggressive in practice. I think he's saying they play too hard. They get these guys that are borderline reckless with their own bodies, the way they are we see it a lot with the safeties, and I hate to use this as an example because it was a scary example, but like what Maurice Norris did on that play was like a very aggressive downhill play. That's what the Lions want, and I think more high-speed collisions like that probably lead to more injuries. And again, I don't think the Lions are doing anything malicious. I don't think Dan Campbell is like, put your body in harm for us. But at the same time, they are a very aggressive downhill team, and high-speed collisions will naturally result in more injuries. Now, to be clear, like that's not all the Lions are going through, right? Like Ahmed Hassanin's injury on Monday was just a guy getting rolled up on, and that happens all the time. That is essentially unpreventable. Like that stuff just happens. It doesn't matter how much pre-body work and prehab you put in. Like if you get rolled up on, you get rolled up on. There's nothing you can do to stop that. But I do think there's at least a little bit, and I think the friendly fire contact from last year is a little bit of evidence of that, where it's just like maybe they're throwing their bodies around a little too much. Again, I don't think that necessarily means they need to change anything, because you pull back some of that, maybe you risk injury yourself. If you're just like, if you're not firing in, they're going to fire into you. And
that's my counter, right? Is that if you're hesitant, that's typically when you get injured. When you are nursing an injury and you are worried about that side of your body getting hurt, you leave the other side more susceptible, or you overuse it, and then you get hurt, right? And so that's the fine line that exists in every sport, right? Now we don't know if this is the situation with Ennis, but I'm going to point out that like Ennis had a significant injury on the chest contusion on one side of his body, and then seemed to be favoring that side of the body. And then when he landed and hurt his shoulder, it was the other shoulder. So was he protecting that one side of the body and sacrificing the other? And is that what led to him falling on his shoulder a little bit more awkwardly? Certainly could be something that happened. It could also, when you're not being overly aggressive, you're not falling the same way. You're not getting those you're not tackling correctly, or you're not following through correctly, and that can lead to injury. And so it's something that is like you said, a significant part of any camp, and it happens in every sport, and people make millions of dollars off trying to prevent them, prevent injuries. And if someone had the solution, they'd never have to work again, right?
Yeah. And to just go back to my final point, like,
yes,
if you're not prepared to be the one to deliver the blow, you are going to be the one to absorb a blow, and that could very much lead as much to an injury as the guy flying in and trying to make a play. So, it's tough to make sense of all these things, and I know it'd be easy for us to just point to one thing and say, hey, if they just fix this, they'll be healthy. But the truth of the matter is there's just so many random high-speed collisions in this game that naturally players are going to get injured, and I'm not entirely sure over the long span of things that the Lions are going to be a more injured team than anyone else. All right, let's move from injuries to backup quarterback. We're really hitting the high debate topics today. Matthew Soltisiak, sorry if I messed that up, says, what are the chances the Lions keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster? If Allen is truly the number 2, seems that what they have to do, because I don't think Hooker will clear waivers, but I think you could get Allen to the practice squad if he were the 3rd.
So he's saying if Allen wins the QB2 job, he expects the Lions to potentially keep 3 because they don't think Hooker would clear waivers. My take on this is they don't seem to be overly worried about either guy clearing waivers at this point, because if they did, they would have a 4th in camp right now, in my opinion, right? Because you don't want to go into the season with 2 quarterbacks and then you cut the 3rd, and then you don't think that 3rd will make it to your practice squad. Or maybe they are planning on keeping all three. It's hard from a roster construction standpoint to justify keeping three. I also wonder if Allen wins the job, if they're like, okay, we gave Hooker 3 years, and if he can't beat out Kyle Allen, then we're okay if we lose him to waivers. The trick here is they're going to want a guy familiar with the system on the practice squad, right? It's something they've always done. They tend to prefer to, but they would like to have that third guy on the practice squad. So maybe we'll see a situation like we saw last year where a fourth guy gets added in the last week or two of camp in order to add some depth, or at least competition-wise. Last year it was because Hendon got concussed that they needed that body, right? Yeah. That Frome ended up in here. But I mean, I think they prefer to only keep two, and that's the way I'm leaning, is that they're only going to keep two. And my guess is because they haven't brought in a fourth, they're expecting that guy to clear waivers. But I also think they'd be comfortable if they didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense to keep three, especially when there are some guys that, when we're creating our 53, feels uncomfortable to cut, when like a guy like Nate Lynn or the Keith Cooper or, even a wide receiver Meeks. 7, Jackson Meeks, exactly. Mm-hmm. Those guys feel a little bit more deserving of a roster spot than whoever the backup the third string quarterback is going to be. But Matthew does bring up an interesting point, and we see the Lions and all the teams do this every year, is like, cut the veteran, tell the veteran we're going to re-sign you, or we're going to sign you to the practice squad. So there could be a situation where they're like, hey, we want to keep 3 total, including the practice squad, but we're going to have Hendon make the team and Kyle Allen not make the team because Hendon probably has a better chance of getting poached on the waivers. I'm not so sure that he would, but in general, I think someone would bet on those. I mean, right, but I'm the guy that's going to fix them, right? There are a lot of very cocky offensive coordinators out there, head coaches out there that would see, hey, Hendon Hooker, we scouted that guy pretty hard. We didn't draft him, but we saw the skills, the potential, the athleticism.
It'd surely be appealing to Chicago.
Sure. Right. Absolutely. And so I do think he would get picked off waivers. And so if the Lions feel like they want all 3 of those guys in the house to start the season, it actually wouldn't surprise me if they go with Hendon Hooker, they cut Kyle Allen and say, hey, Kyle, we'll sign you back. And it's also that weird thing that teams do with the guaranteed salary for veterans, right? Where if a veteran is on the roster for week 1, their entire year's salary suddenly becomes guaranteed. Well, if you cut a Kyle Allen before week 1, that salary is no longer guaranteed, and you bring him back, or you put him on the practice squad.
Kyle Allen's contract is $1.1 million. They're not going to care.
I guess I probably won't care about that. But you get my point, right? Like,
yeah, I do.
It's certainly something we should probably consider more when we're building out our own 53s.
The thing to me is, if Hendon can't win the job, how much is left in the tank?
Sure.
Right? Like, how much is there that is developable at this stage? And so maybe they just say, hey, we're going to go to the quarterback well again. Yeah.
It's certainly possible.
It would take Hendon looking as bad as he did, in the final 2 games, as bad as he has. But let's be clear. Dan was very, very clear that they weren't planning on playing Kyle Allen until the second half, but Hendon's play on the field justified a move before the half, and that doesn't happen that often in the preseason. And
it was one drive. He couldn't give him one more drive. Like that's a strong statement. Now,
that was eye-opening to me.
He also did compliment Hooker, and I think rightfully so. Like, I think I know people aren't going to agree with me.
Yeah, drops.
Crazy, but he was accurate that game. He was delivering the ball where it was supposed to be, and in general making the right decisions. Now, the problem is he made 2 or 3 really, really bad decisions in the same way that Kyle Allen did in the first game, right? Like, Kyle Allen was moving the ball in that first game, and then he threw 2 horrible interceptions. It kind of felt the same to me with Hendon Hooker in game 2, where they were moving the ball a little bit, drop here, fumble there, and you can't overlook those things. To be clear, you cannot just be like, wow, well, it was a couple plays. No. The turnovers, they're huge. That's how you win and lose games. But you can't just... It's not all a black and white performance with someone like Hendon Hooker or Kyle Allen. There was some good. There was more disturbingly bad, I guess.
Well, like Dan said, if you're going to keep the ball and you're going to be a runner, you better secure it. And he didn't twice.
Yep.
So,
yeah. We're going to stick with a couple more questions on QB2 here. Our good friend Between the Numbers, Anthony asks, is mental toughness / resilience going to be the separating grit factor in the QB2 race? Both struggled in game 1, but Allen is the guy that shook it off. Patience is important in quarterback development, so not intending to bash Hooker here at all with this question.
Yeah. It will probably be the deciding factor because Kyle Allen was able to shake off, a poor game and he looked a lot better. I mean, significantly better, right? Yeah. And that's his veteran experience. But at the same time with Hendon, he should have some fortitude to do the same. And he'll have 2 games to prove that he can. And if he can, he is, in my opinion, the more gifted quarterback physically. And it's really about, can he get his mental acuity where it needs to be?
I think you made a good point there that Hendon should have that grit, that mental capacity, because when you remember one of the first things that Brad Holmes said about the guy and why he drafted him, it was, well, I went down to a game and I watched him on the sidelines. And he's the guy rallying the troops. He's the guy going up to the guy who drops the pass. He's going up, like, he has that in him, or he had that in him. But at the same time, like, it does feel like he's in a little bit of a slump here. And it's why Dan Campbell said, I think last week, it was like, he just needs to, like, string together a couple of performances to, like, click and build some confidence in himself. And it feels like he just doesn't have that confidence right now.
There's a couple guys like that on the roster, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Broderick Martin, Colby, Manu, right? Like,
yes.
They're all just waiting for these guys to turn the corner.
Yep.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And I think maybe the most interesting development from this week is when Dan was asked, like, hey, do you feel like backup quarterback's an issue? And Dan's response was, no. Like, Kyle Allen was awesome. Kyle Allen was outstanding. I was fired up from Kyle Allen's performance. And I said it on the POD cast, and I'll say it again. Like, it was a near perfect performance from the guy. He was
passer rating was perfect.
Sharp. His passer rating was perfect. I threw 2 incomplete passes?
1. 7 of 8.
7 of 8
with 2 touchdowns. Yeah, 7 of 8 with 2 touchdowns. That helps.
And I think that's why it feels like he's so far ahead in the race. And you can call that grit, you call that perseverance, you can call it whatever you want. But that's what they love about Jared Goff so much, right? Is he'll throw a bad interception, he'll come back and be the same person the next drive, and
he'll throw 5 and come back and win the game.
That's right, exactly. So yeah, that is something they very much covet. And if you are reading the room of how who leads in that department, it's Kyle Allen by a mile right now.
The other thing that we need to keep in mind with Hendon getting claimed, I know most people believe he will get claimed, and I think there's a good likelihood that someone familiar with him would be. But let's keep in mind, outside of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the only thing that these teams have seen over the last 3 years of Hendon is what he's put on tape.
Yep.
And they've seen the same performances this preseason that we're talking about. And so there's probably a good portion of the teams that are going to look at that and say,
no thanks.
Yeah, no, we're good. But all it takes is one, right? Yeah. All it takes is one team to be like, hey, I can fix them. And then away you go.
One more question about the quarterback thing, and then we'll move on. Greg T., one of the Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, says, I was kind of surprised and disappointed that the Lions did not sign Teddy Bridgewater to compete with Hendon for the backup quarterback position, instead allowing him to sign with the Bucs. Was that a smart move, and do you feel the Lions should add a veteran quarterback that could actually win a game or two should Goff get injured?
So the veteran that they are going to sign is, or the veteran that they did sign is Kyle Allen.
Right.
That's who they targeted. That's who they want to be at in that role.
Yeah.
And then as far as Bridgewater, I don't know if the Lions necessarily had a choice. You have to remember, Teddy is from Florida. He played down there. He grew up in his high school was in Florida. Or I'm sorry, he didn't play. He was a coach. Went back to his roots.
Yep.
Like there's a very good chance he was just like, hey, I just want to stay. I don't want to get up and move back to Michigan. I don't want to do this. Like it's a good chance he looked at the situation where he was at with the problems with the high school coaching that he happens to find himself in. And he probably said there's a good chance. I don't know. I don't know this for certain, but it's a good chance he signed with Tampa because it's where he wants to be in his home state, near where he grew up. He may not. It's possible the Lions called him, and it's possible they touched base. We don't know for certain, but we don't necessarily know that this was something the Lions did or didn't do. It could very easily have been Teddy's decision, and he signed very quickly. So
Yeah.
who knows?
I want to say two things on this. One, I think the Lions, at the point in which Teddy Bridgewater was available, still wanted to see their quarterback battle through, right?
Sure.
Kyle Allen,
Sure.
it was what, 1 week into training camp after just the Hall of Fame game where, yeah, it didn't look good, but like I didn't think they were going to give up on either of those guys 1 week into training camp. The other is, I feel like there's a little bit of like fantasy mixed in with Teddy Bridgewater and just assuming he would be a great backup quarterback here in Detroit. He was not great in the preseason here, in the 1 year he was in the preseason. And we've essentially never really seen him run a drive in the regular season or the postseason. He handed the ball off. I know
orchestrated a touchdown.
No, stop it. Stop it with the JMO reverse. That does not count. To me, there's little proof out there that Teddy Bridgewater could go out there and win a game with the Lions as a backup quarterback. There's a belief that it'll happen, but when's the last time Teddy Bridgewater saw any like actual playing time that has you certain he's better than Kyle Allen? And I mean that sincerely. Do you have any proof out there that Teddy Bridgewater is without a doubt better than Kyle Allen?
Well, he was drafted in the first round, so he has to be, right?
2 decades ago?
He's only 33, I think, right? 33 or 34.
So I mean, listen, I love Teddy as a locker room asset because there's no doubt he is that.
Yes.
He was very helpful to Jameson Williams. I would argue he was helpful for Hendon Hooker. Maybe you would argue maybe he wasn't because he hasn't been playing particularly well.
Maybe just not enough, yeah.
But if you're sitting here and saying that Teddy Bridgewater for certain is an upgrade over two of those quarterbacks, my response would be, how do you know that? I just have he wasn't spectacular in practices that we saw. We didn't get to see him a ton, right? He was added late in training camp 1 year and mid-season the other year, so we don't get to see him practice a ton. And I just like, okay, well, why are we so excited about this guy outside of the intangible stuff? Just because we don't like the guys we have. That's why. Because
Dan loves him. That's why everyone else loves him, because Dan loves him, and I get it. He's a great person, like you said, great person, yes. Great leader, and but we haven't seen him play in a while, so yes, it's hard to say.
Last one before we'll take our first break here. Let's talk some Zadarius Smith. If the Lions do eventually sign Zadarius, who on the bubble do you think he could potentially bump off? This is from Steve H. By the
It's tricky, right? Because if you look at the defensive line, that construction of the defensive line, both interior and on the edge, are contingent on what happens to the guys that are on the pup, right? Is Wingo back? If he is, then who's off? And our 53 would be Chris Smith. If Pascal's back, then which we're projecting him to be, then that takes probably Nate Lynn's spot or Nate Lynn's chance right now.
Yep.
And maybe Lynn finds another way, or, there's all kinds of things that could happen. But so it's hard to really say like who would Zadarius Smith bump out. But I think if you look at the defensive line and you think about the fact of how they would construct that portion of the roster, an addition of Zadarius Smith would most certainly negatively impact Nate Lynn. He would be the guy who would now be at best edge 7. Right. And that's a lot harder to make the team as edge 7 than it is as justifying an edge 6. So, but if Pascal's not back, then that opens the door for Nate Lynn again. So like, it's really difficult to say like it's this guy who's in trouble or this guy that's not, but I would put all those guys that are on the defensive line, like your Chris Smiths, like your Keith Coopers, Nate Lynn, right?
What about like Pat O'Connor?
And then I don't know if it would impact Pat. I think he's far enough along that he's probably going to be DT4 to start the season, even if Wingo comes back, because they're going to want to make sure Wingo has time to acclimate or reacclimate, right? And so I don't know if Pat O'Connor's necessarily in trouble, but it all hinges on Wingo and Pascal first. And then once you know what's going to happen with them, then it would be those kind of bubble guys right after that I think would be most impact.
So on our 53, we have 10 defensive linemen in. Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, Tyleik Williams, Roy Lopez, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Ahmed Hassanin, Josh Pascal, Pat O'Connor, Chris Smith.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of those 10. And of course, like Zadarius Smith could come from a different position group. Some people have toyed with the idea of, I know some people in the Lions media room have toyed with the idea of only running 2 tight ends and slipping someone like Shane Zylstra on the practice squad. You could maybe do the same at running back if you want to try to slip Reynolds on the practice squad.
No. That's lunacy.
But the thing you have to remember is like you can also immediately have those guys play. Like Craig Reynolds is a guy that I think they're going to value on special teams and want to be part of your game day roster. But you could probably sneak him onto the practice squad and then also promote him a few times, right? He's a veteran. He's a veteran, so he's not going to have to go through waivers.
I get it. I don't think. I think he's too valuable to risk personally.
It's possible. I don't disagree with you, and I wouldn't do it myself. But I'm just saying, like, that is where an 11th defensive lineman could fit in. What's probably more likely is either one, they decide, all right, Zadarius Smith buys us time with Josh Pascal, stay on the pup for 4 weeks, or Chris Smith, but that leaves you a little bit loose on the inside, right? You don't have a ton of interior talent that way. You have Tyleik, Roy, DJ Reader, and Pat O'Connor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if Pascal comes back, you got a little bit more range. If Wingo comes back, you get a little bit more. Yeah, like I hear what you're saying. It's yeah. I mean, we could speculate this with a few other position groups as well, and it's all just speculation, right? Yeah. Could they do the same thing with Coyote Aushika?
Sure.
Right, who they think might pass through waivers, and then
and he's a veteran, right?
Yeah.
Remember, veterans don't have to pass through waivers,
right? But I mean, he it's not like he's going anywhere, right? In my opinion, I think he's going to be back, and so yeah, it gets tricky.
It does get tricky. But
especially
I think going back. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your point.
No, I was just going to say, especially because we don't know where they're at from an injury standpoint.
Yeah. But yeah, just like to bring it full circle, the guys that I think you outlined on the defensive line are really kind of the true answers of that. Your Keith Cooper, who we don't currently have in, but is like right on the line. Nate Lynn's kind of in that same category, and then Chris Smith. Those are the 3 I would look for. I don't think Al-Qadim Muhammad is in trouble. I don't think they would lose Ahmed Hassanin. Of course, we have to figure out where his injury status is at. But either way, I think you look kind of at that defensive line as a whole, because there's so many versatile pieces that even though you'd be adding an edge player, you might take that at the expense of a defensive tackle that can play anywhere from 3 to 7 or 1 to 4i. All right, let's leave it there. When we come back, we are going to answer more of your questions, including digging into joint practices, which are less than 24 hours away from when we are recording this. So we'll be right back on the Midweek Mailbag. I love it. There's a lot of active conversation both on Twitch and YouTube right now, and a lot of debating. And I've been trying to follow it as much as possible while staying in the moment with you, Eric. But there's a lot of good conversation, and I feel like a lot of it is kind of the stuff that we talk about when we're building our own 53s. Where we're pretty aligned in general, but some of the like outside discussions, and we've, like I said, we've seen the Lions do these kind of like roster gymnastics with veterans before, and it like part of me thinks maybe we should be thinking a little bit more outside the box than like, well, they have to have 10 defensive linemen, they have to have 4 tight ends or 3 tight ends and 4 running backs, because they like to get a little creative.
I didn't want to have the debate and throw this at you in the middle of the show, but I'm a little surprised people haven't started talking about Hendon Hooker's trade value. Like, what would he warrant? What would he like? Could you get a OT3 for him? Could you get
no.
Right? Like, what could you, if you did a player for player swap? Like, you got a team who's too many guys at one position at that, that they're going to cut. I don't think they would need a tight end 3.
I'm trying to think of who is it? What is a position where they need someone to fill the very bottom of their depth chart? A corner 4 on someone else's roster?
I do. I wonder. If there's
someone
a team
on the
out
level
there that
of
thinks
like a
he has
Starling
value.
Thomas. I know Starling Thomas is out for the season, but like maybe someone on that. That's what this was all setting the table for Chase Lucas to come back. That's exactly what this was. Low line was on top of they knew where you were going with this. He makes a couple plays in a 49ers preseason game. You're retweeting his highlights. Hendon Hooker for Chase Lucas straight up.
I bet the Niners would do that. Niners would do that. I just, it's whenever you see quarterbacks are one of those positions where they shouldn't have any trade value, but they do sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
but you're not getting anything above. If you're doing it for a draft pick, it's only going to be like a 7th that could conditionally go into a 6th. Right?
I don't think they get a pick. I think they could get a player.
Yeah. And that's a lot. That's kind of how.
Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I'll go through alerts while he is gone. Let's start with Krolik. 51 months subscribed on Twitch. Says Midweek Mailbag. Let's go. Chaco Brisket Bull. 58 months subscribed on Twitch. Appreciate you, buddy. Joe A. Tiger. Thank you for the 8 months. Says 1 Kyle Allen's worth of monthly subscriptions. Orange John Kitna if you squint. Yeah, what are or Dan Orlovsky, right? Dan was an 8.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think if I can think of it, but there's probably like a punter in there that was an 8. Was Nick Harrison 8?
No, I think he was 2.
I was gonna say 3. Maybe a 6. 6 sounds right too. Loveline69, 22 months subscribed channel says I also injured my love thumb. I guess I can't Packer tonight. Wow. I read that without realizing all the innuendos that you were making, and then it came to me at the very end. That is something. I wonder if that's gonna. It's his non-throwing hand, though, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. I had a little snarky comment that.
No, you about the Packers?
I know, surprising. That has gotten some some people in Green Bay were not happy with, but whatever.
No way. They being sensitive? Ice Cecil, 46 months subscribed on Twitch. Sammy Boys, 30 months says looks like Hooker will be here this many months too. Sad face. And then Rerun over on YouTube, a $2 super chat says, is Hendon better than Malik Willis now or later?
Oh, I mean, Malik's actually played and won a game in the so I would say Malik is better. Look, I like Hendon, but he has not played well enough to justify it right now. And so I'm trying not to be overly critical because I like his potential. And I actually think he could do well enough in the last two games to still make the team. But yeah, it's got to be better. You got to be better. This team has this. What is the line that everyone is saying this year? The standard is the standard.
Standard.
Man. And you know what? It's got to be better.
Malik Willis's stats from his preseason opener: 4 of 9 for 39 yards and 3 sacks.
Was it better than Love? Because I bet it was.
Run for 5. Yeah, it was better than Love, who was 1 of 5 for 7 yards and a sack.
Oh, it must have been his non-throwing hand that caused all those incompletions.
But by the way, one of those sacks was a fumble from Malik Willis that was returned for a touchdown.
Was it 2? Did he do it twice?
No.
Oh, okay.
He only fumbled once. Okay. 4 of 9 for 39 yards, 3 sacks, and a fumble. I'm not so convinced Malik Willis is better than Hendon Hooker.
Sample size, right? He's played in the NFL game, and he's won an NFL game. That right there.
So I didn't realize you were so pro QB wins.
No, I'm just saying, like, in those games, because we had to watch those games because there was question about whether or not Love was going to return. Was it 2 seasons ago? I don't know. The guy's hurt all the time. I can never remember. And so
Erik calls Packers quarterback China doll.
But I'm saying we watched Malik win a couple of games because you had to scout him in case he played. But so I don't know, but I'm not saying he's a starter level player. I'm just saying, look, there's not 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. There's certainly not 32 good backups. And so.
Okay. That's fair.
Hendon's got to be better.
No question.
Sorry, man.
No one is arguing that. Against that, I should say. All right, I'm through alerts, which means we can start answering some of your guys' questions. Like this one from Downgrade, which is pretty good. Says, who surprised you most good and bad from the Falcons game?
I thought Meeks he continues to ascend.
Yep.
That impressed me a lot. I think he's been ascending. I was just kind of waiting. You typically see rookies kind of ascend and then plateau. We saw it last year with the wide receiver X competition. By the time we got to this point in the offseason, it had not just plateaued, but then it fell off. And usually you see that from rookies.
Sure.
Not with Meeks. Meeks continues to ascend, so I'm happy to see that.
Good practice on Monday too.
I thought Ronnie Bell finally looked like Ronnie Bell, and the opportunities he had more of them. He was blocking.
Amazing what good quarterback play can do. By the way,
right? I was disappointed that Hendon didn't turn the corner.
Sure.
So I don't want to keep beating this horse.
I was very happy to see that Trevor Nowatzki bounced back. In fact, the entire linebacking core looked so much better in game 2 than they did in game 1.
And Nowatzki getting time at the mic almost locks him in. If he wasn't locked into a spot before, he's locked in now. The fact that they're starting to cross train him and show what's up, like, okay, you're on the roster, right in ink.
Yeah, John Whitaker in our chat says Awashika looked bad. And I think you're right. I think, if you want to go disappointing, that first half offensive line just was not gelling. The run game was stymied. Hendon was hurried several times. I mean, some of that was just like you had Mason Miller at right tackle. Like
it was a training camp all-star game of what was available. Right. Because what you did was you took
all-star
the best offensive line.
Is probably not the best.
No, hear me out.
It was the bad news
because
Bears
a lot of guys
version.
were not able to play.
Yes.
A lot of guys were not able to play, just like the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And you just took the best players and just threw them on the field. And then you moved Awashika from right to left. You put Tate in there, who's never played with the other guys. He'd never played next to Cologne. He'd never played next to Miller. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a hodgepodge of players who were like, hey, you've been playing well. You get to play in this shoot around here.
John asks, any chance Hatton gets linebacker reps again this year? I don't think so. I mean,
look. You can only have one quirky special teams thing a year, okay? And right now we've got it with Stewart,
Grant Stewart. I was just on a show this morning, and I want to reiterate again: that is not a novelty. That is something that they truly believe in. Like, I was asked, who do you think the day one kick returners are? And I said, I think it's between 3 guys right now, and maybe a 4th if he can get healthy and on the field.
Okay, I'm listening.
You know who that one is, right?
Well, yeah.
That one is Sione Vaki. No.
Oh, Vaki too.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Vaki.
I guess Dorsey too.
Vaki should be in that conversation regardless. Like,
yes.
So,
but he's had like 0 reps there because he hasn't practiced at all.
Hurt. Yeah. Which I don't understand. All right, tell me your 4, and I'll
that was
see
4.
if I have anybody different. Oh, tell me. I'm sorry. So start again.
No, that one was 4.
Clear.
The 4th.
Oh, Vaki was number 4.
Vaki is 4.
Got it.
Grant Stewart is 1. Oh, I'm not ranking them. I'm just. Okay. One of the 4s. Vaki is one of the 4, is what I was trying to say.
Right. I agree with that.
Craig Reynolds.
Agree with that.
Khalif Raymond and Grant Stewart.
I would say Grant Stewart and then Dorsey over Khalif. Because I mean, I feel like they haven't used Khalif a lot on kick returns, and maybe that's just my own
this last practice, but yeah.
Right.
You weren't there.
Well, dude. Okay. It's getting crazy right now. But my guess is a Craig Vaki combination makes them feel warm and fuzzy inside. If you can have Dorsey in that mix, that's awesome too. And then Stewart is your wild card.
Yeah. Joey Tiger, I think we weren't planning to talk about that, but I would like to. So I'm going to take that and use it for the show. Because we only have 4 questions right now lined up for the second segment. We kind of plowed through some there. So, we'll talk some Giovanni Manu during the show. Bowling fundraiser was great. Got to see Ryan there. Made a very long trek there, which I was happy to see. I don't have any final numbers on how much money was raised, but there were a lot of people there. I bowled like a 180, which is pretty good for me. We don't need to talk about the other game. This is my warm-up game. Also,
I consistently bowl in the 120s.
Yeah, that's about what that first one was. Let me see. What was the actual score? 176. Had a turkey involved. No big deal. I also, I told you guys about the baskets, the raffle baskets, where you buy a bunch of raffle tickets and then you put your raffle tickets in front of the baskets that you want to win. Mm-hmm. That's one where I donated a signed Steve Young picture and a couple of footballs I got from the Lions.
Okay.
Which I didn't.
Steve Young picture?
I asked my mom where it came from the other day because I felt a little bit bad that I was giving it away since it was a gift, but at the same time it had just been like sitting in my closet, and Can I tell you something? I have no ties to Steve Young at all.
Yeah. And if I were you, I'm proud of you for getting rid of it. Good job. I've met Steve Young before. Not a fan.
Really?
Yes.
Under what circumstances did you meet Steve Young? I feel like we need a full story. I don't know if you want to fully bury Steve Young live on our show, but I kind of want to know now.
Back when Detroit hosted the Super Bowl, I was at an ESPN thing, and I met a bunch of the guys, and I went up to meet Steve Young, or went up to talk to Steve Young, and he had bodyguards that stepped in, and he like when I just walked towards him, he just like bug-eyed and then like stepped back, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm just a young kid." What? And then bodyguards stepped in, and I was like, "Holy cow.
Kid, who are you kidding?"
Okay, I was a young adult. How's that? A young adult. I was an adult. Yeah, it wasn't like so. But yeah, like, and I was just like, "Oh, I just wanted to say hi and congratulate." And they were like, they were very rude. And then to the point where Sean Salisbury came over and was like, "Hey, I'll talk to you." And he was like, wanted to meet me, and I was like, "You're Sean Salisbury, but you're super nice." He's super nice, super nice. He was
honestly, if you would have told me the exact inverse of that story had happened, I would have believed you more. and it's just Sean Salisbury's like on-air persona, right? Like he's a little bit more aggressive when it comes to his on-air personality.
But
that's actually awesome to hear about him.
He was super nice. He saw the whole interaction, and Young like turned and walked away, and I was like, all right, that's cool. If you're too good for just a young fan trying to say hi and tell you how cool you are. Like I was a big fan. Now he's dead to me. I'm sorry. I don't want to see him.
You have a couple celebrity that you had run-ins with that are dead to you, and I'm not gonna pull some of the other ones out of you because we don't need to necessarily put those guys on blast unless you want to. But
maybe it was just, I don't know. I was very excited. Maybe I was too excited. I don't know. I scared the tar out of Sal Palantonio. I can tell you that, because we were walking in opposite directions, and we both turned a corner, and we almost like bumped into each other. And I went, "Hey, it's Sal Palantonio," and he like jumped back as well.
I think we're starting to learn who the problem actually was in these interactions.
Maybe. But I was like, "Oh, it's just nice to meet. It's nice to meet you. I'm a big fan." He was nice to me too. Like he was like, "Oh, hey, thanks. I appreciate that." And he talked to me for 30 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. Sure. It wasn't a big deal, but like, I was probably more excited to talk to Sal Palantonio than I was Steve Young. Because I don't know, I was just a big fan at the time. That's funny. And I almost just ran into each other because we were turning the corner.
Anyways, to get back to what I think was my original point was, I did win a basket. In fact, it wasn't a full basket. There was a basket that was full of gift certificates, and it turned out they drew for each individual gift certificate, and I won a $50 gift certificate to a nail salon.
Ooh.
Which I think means it's about time for me to get my first pedicure.
Well, okay.
I've heard it's actually kind of delightful.
Listen, you should start with the manicure.
No.
Because look, no, man, look, it's important. Go talk to any of the wide receivers. Yes, and the way that you type, as fast as you type, you don't want to set those babies on fire. You want them to be polished, queued up, yeah, man. I mean, I'm not talking like I'm not telling you to put color on it. I'm not even telling you to put a sheen on it. I'm just saying, take care of the guy. Take care of the moneymakers. Like that. That's a thing. Talk to wide receivers. Wide receivers get them done like on a weekly basis because they need their hands to be in good shape.
I don't think I would get much from a Manny.
Your hands would. Your hands would feel better. Oh, okay.
My feet suck. Like I can tell they're rough and jagged and.
Okay, well then don't do that to the person that you're using.
See, that is why I haven't had it done. It's not that like I'm insecure or it's too feminine. It's like I don't want to do that to the poor lady.
I want to go get a manicure now because that's.
Do you want to do a couples? I don't know how much $50 covers.
It won't cover. It's for you, buddy. That'll get you done. Like, look, I got a wife and 3 daughters. I can tell you that you can get a manicure and you're good. That's about it. If you go to a place where you can get a manicure and a pedicure for $50, it's not
worth
happy
it
with the results.
I have no idea how much a manicure or a pedicure costs at all.
That should be like, look, $40, $40 for
each.
For for a manicure. Yeah, I mean pedicure. I don't know if that's more or not, but like, I say get the hands done. You'll be happy. You'll be like, they'll feel nice and sharp and crisp, and like maybe you'll write faster. Man, that
doesn't make any sense. You're like, they don't like massage them, right? It's just literally like buffing up calluses and nail stuff, right?
Yeah, but like, I'm looking at my hands right now, and I have like hang nails and stuff like that probably like would benefit from being taken care of.
They do massage them at the end?
Well, there you go. There you go.
There are a surprising amount of people, and now I want to do a Twitch poll to see how many of you have had a mani, pedi, or either.
Talk to the receivers.
That is not a question I'm going to ask the receivers.
No, I don't have any issue with it. The receivers and the running backs should all be getting manicures. Like, it's a
I
legit
can't even
thing.
imagine. I'd just be like, hey,
I'm
not
how much
off the record.
How much you pay for your mayonnaise?
I'm not. This whole conversation is off the record. I'm just looking for advice. Mani pedi. What are your thoughts?
Oh, you know who would tell you? Terrion. I bet Terrion gets him too, because he's got to keep those babies in good shape.
That's so funny.
Yeah, dude, it's a legit thing. Like, I bet the receivers all get them done.
I need to know how many people. If you're on Twitch, you got 3 minutes. Tell me if you've had a mani or pedi. Either one qualifies for a yes. Caleb Williams. Yeah. All right. We're not getting into Caleb Williams talk.
Again, I'm not saying you got to get color, but like, some people do. Like, wasn't Caleb's thing like he wanted, like, I don't know, there was something with like, I don't remember why.
Okay, these poll results are more in line with what I was thinking. Only 30% have said yes.
Okay.
I don't like, what treatment do you get on your nails? It's just like protection, right?
Yeah, they can put like a coating on it, like a wax. It's almost like getting a wax on your car, or a layer
I have no
of paint
interest
on the
in
wall,
like making them look nice or shiny or anything like that. But if you want to just like fortify them, that's fine.
You can do that. You can get like a low sheen fortification on your nails. Like, look, if you have an issue with like them cracking, or like if you're too hard on them, like, I don't know, just saying.
So how many times have you gotten a mani pedi?
Oh, I've never got one.
Oh, what?
I told you, I've paid for a bunch, but I'm willing to.
What if one of your kids are like, Dad, I want to do with you. I want a daddy-daughter mani pedi.
Oh yeah, look, they've painted my nails before. Like, I have a dad with 3 girls, man.
It's true.
It's not like I've had bows put in my hair and all kinds of stuff, right? Yeah, that's just what you do.
Oh man, there were a lot of really good questions, and we got into mani pedi talk, and now they're all unscrollable. So if you guys have more questions, by the way, the poll has tightened up considerably. 44% versus 56%.
Ooh.
44 have gotten a mani pedi before, mani or pedi, or both.
I can still scroll back a little bit. Here's a question: who dictates a sack on a play? And I assume in practice. Like, when Hutchinson comes in and he's basically in, but he doesn't sack the quarterback, who dictates it? Is it the defense that calls like, oh, that's a sack, or is the offense just give up?
It's usually Dan, right, that blows a whistle.
It's usually the coaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the defenders definitely make it like a big scene. Like they'll touch the quarterback and be like,
Yes.
"Woo!"
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. For sure. Ooh, I just had a thought. Movember live stream a Manny and or Petty.
Oh, that's fine. I'm not doing a petty. I'm not cruel. I'm not cruel.
Erik, it's their job.
I know, but
They've done it to worse feet than yours, I'm sure.
yeah, but I don't want. Look, I have a
First, Erik,
I like
first Erik calls Jeremy honey. Now he's telling him to get a manicure.
I wear sandals more often or not or don't wear like shoes. I only wear tennis shoes when I go like to work. I very rarely and
You usually got them
like,
dogs out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Until like until Thanksgiving, I try and wear my sandals as long as if I can get to December, it's a good time. But
yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, John Johnson. Like they'd have to get a cheese grater out there for my foot.
well, that's the thing. They sell those like for your home use and like like Laura bought one for me. She's like, if you're gonna wear sandals, you have to get all the calluses off your feet. Like
They're
so
gonna
I know how
they're
bad
gonna
mine
put
are because
a plate of pasta underneath my feet and just
Oh
more. Do you want more? Say when.
no, because like I don't know. I've had to clean my own feet, and so I don't want to put anyone else through that. Yeah, so
Fair.
I'll do the hands. I'll do the hands though. Yeah, those are the money makers, right?
All right. We'll answer more questions. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to find some more.
I have not watched. What is Saturday Morning Inspection? Is that a YouTube channel or something? Mm-mm. I actually have not gotten an opportunity to watch most of the All 22. I had some time early Saturday morning, and I watched basically all of Hendon Hooker's reps, and I was focusing on him and Tate. So I've seen whatever 24 snaps or whatever of that. I didn't get a chance to watch the defense. I did get a chance to watch Tyleek up close. Just haven't had the time. Thought about it today, but I feel like we're kind of past that at this point.
I think this question got answered, but why hasn't Za'Darius signed when you're 3 weeks into camp?
Because he doesn't want to.
Yeah, he doesn't want to risk getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
So there's no reason for him. If he signs, it'll be a couple weeks before the regular season where he can get acclimated and be ready to go.
And based on Brad's comments last week, it just seems like, hey, we're still a little bit far apart, money-wise.
Yeah, for sure. Waiting for that cost to come down too.
But the way he talked about it is like, yeah, it's gonna happen. Just wait. Like that's my reading between the lines of that entire conversation. Lion Fanica with an interesting comment here. He says, keep your eye on Manu's left foot on passing downs. He's telling the other team it's a pass every time when you watch the All 22. I don't know if you got to if you got to see Manu's media session. He basically said that. Like he said guys on our team have told him that he's tipping plays. And he's like, but the good thing is you go into a game and those guys haven't scouted me at all. They don't know anything about me. And I can get away with it. But he knows he's tipping. I was going to write something on Manu because I thought his media session was really, really fascinating. I believe it's on the Lions YouTube. You should go check it out if you haven't yet. He said some really interesting things. Dan Campbell in the chat says, "Go Lions! Go check out my interview with Brad Galley." I would actually also recommend that interview. It was very nice. Brad does a good job, and Dan's always entertaining. I did write something on it because he's so Dan in his typical self is trying to take the blame for what happened last year, and he basically said more or less, "Hey, I think maybe I made a mistake by fixating on the 1 seed and fixating on getting home field advantage throughout the playoffs and getting a bye week. And he's hypothesizing at this point, right? He's trying to make sense of what happened last year. And he says, I think maybe there's a chance that the team breathed a sigh of relief after winning that 1 seed and took a beat. And maybe, he didn't say this directly, but maybe weren't as locked in for the playoff game as we had hoped, because we felt we had already accomplished what we had worked literally all 18 weeks for. I think that's BS. I think that is Dan trying to say, what could I have done better? Maybe it was this. But anyone, I feel like, who was looking at that logically would tell you that team wasn't what it was, even in week 18, who they were in week 6, week 7, week 8. There just been too much roster maneuvering, and Goff didn't have his best game, and that's it.
This is less of a question, but when we were talking about trading Hendon, Shanked said maybe they'd be interested in a veteran safety, and that way they could keep, just in case they have to move Branch again, to the slot. But I do agree with LJ's response that with Rock cross training, and with Avonte Maddox on the roster, I think those, specifically the Maddox move, was made so that you don't have to move the Branch, because they got caught in the situation where they really had no choice last year. And I think Maddox helps alleviate that. And then you're cross-training Rock, probably with the sole intention of, hey, if something happens to Maddox, we still need somebody else.
Yeah.
Right?
I do. The whole Rock situation is interesting to me because he's almost not repping at corner at all right now. And I'm like, but don't you need reinforcements there too, right? You just lost Ennis.
It's almost like they are saying,
we know you're good there.
We know you're good. Let's test out what we have in one of these young guys, because we might need one of these young guys. True. And you need to get some work. We'd like to get you some work somewhere else. So, but yeah, it's definitely not conducive to help him get ready for the season, but I don't think it'll take much. And he did 3 weeks there at corner before they switched him. Anyway, so that's my guess.
Really quick, Big Earn says, I have NFL Plus with the All-22, but I can't find the preseason games. Let me help you real quick. NFL Plus replays. Sorry, it's going so slow. I have a million tabs open. It's right there. Preseason game 1. Then you hit replays. You get the full game replay. You get the condensed. You get the All-22. Click on All-22 and ta-da, All-22. It's not. I think you're probably looking at what's the other thing? NFL Pro. NFL Pro does not have All-22. I don't think they have even the replays of preseason games. So go to NFL Plus instead of NFL Pro. Unfortunately, you can't pick by plays. It's just one long video. But
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Here, let's watch this one play and see what happens. That's a Broderick Martin pressure. Oh, yeah, that is the Broderick Martin, I think, roughing the passer play. Let's see what he does on this play. He's right here. Splits a double team. Wait, is that the one that he got the roughing? No, I don't think it was. I think that was like the play after. Anyways. Hope that helped. Oops. Click the recipes tab, please. Holly's trying to decide what to make for dinner. Do I have a recipes thing? I think I do, don't I? Let's see. The 5 that I have is an Instant Pot pulled pork, a pot roast, a pork stew with sweet potatoes. Oh, I don't think I ever made that one. I want to make that one. 1 pot chicken and lime, and a chicken ramen. I don't think I've tried any of those. Anyways, I thought you could use Pro to find plays on specific players. Thought you guys did that. Yes, you can. That is only for regular season tape, though. Preseason tape, you can't do that with. No, I can't look up Nate Lynn's sack because it's not categorized by play. I would have to scroll forever. Dan Campbell, why do I get the feeling that you're Nick the Greek?
Not Dan Campbell.
Why do I get the feeling that I feel like we haven't seen Nick the Greek for a while, and now there's someone named Dan Campbell on YouTube, and they're giving off some Nick the Greek vibes.
Yeah, Nick's probably lawyering somewhere. I bet it's just daytime. So,
Anthony, this is a great question for you, Eric. Anthony Norman asks, "Can anyone explain to me why the national media loves Jordan Love so much? I know we are biased because we are Lions fans, but he isn't anything special."
Yeah, he plays quarterback for the Packers. There you go. You're welcome.
But can I ask you for a fair assessment of Jordan Love? And
he's a first-round quarterback.
I understand that asking you to say something fair and balanced about the Packers is a fool's errand, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
Look, when he at Utah State, right? He was a good college quarterback. Probably was warranted going in the first round, especially like that class. And so, you draft him because he's got prototypical size. He's good accuracy. He looks like there's a lot of potential. Why they have fallen in love with him was because of how he closed out. What was it?
2023.
Yeah. That season he closed by having, stringing together some terrific games. Really? And so people saw his potential. If he's operating at his peak level, this is what it can look like. And people see that and they're like, man, if he could do that for a whole season, how great would he be? And blah, blah, blah. And he's young. He's next in line in the Packers chain of quarterbacks. And so, yeah, there's a lot of hype around him and what his potential could be. The problem has been he's been injured. He's made a lot of mental mistakes that they gloss over and give excuses for. They do that with a lot of first-round quarterbacks, but they seem to be doing it an exceptional amount with him. And I think that's the Green Bay factor, right? Because he's supposed to be the next guy, right? So, look, he's in year 5, and he's still making some mistakes that he maybe shouldn't be making. And so you wonder, maybe this is the player he is, and this is the player he could be. But if he's here for, half of your games, he'll keep you in it, but he won't win it for you. If he's here, he'll probably help win you some games. It's just a matter of there's also games where he's down here too. And so I think, for example, Goff has more consistency than him, which is why Goff should be ranked higher, in my opinion. And if you would have said Goff of 21, Goff of 21 wasn't as consistent. Talent wasn't around him, right? And stuff like that, right?
And Goff was about at the point where Jordan Love is in his career too, right? Like 5-6 seasons into his career.
But Goff did something that you don't normally see quarterbacks in their 6th, 7th, or 8th years do, and that's take another step, right? Yeah, usually they kind of are what they are, and that there's a developmental arc over the first 5 years of a quarterback's life, sure. And not all of them have reached their pinnacle. There's some guys that come on later and they just look better. Kurt Warner, right, for example, right? So there's no right or wrong blueprint on. I'm not saying he's never going to be able to maintain and play at this level, but like he hasn't shown the consistency to do that. And until he improves his consistency, he's always going to be a guy who is, there's going to be he could be better. Just waiting for it.
Yeah.
That's going to be the story on him. So, but I'm one last thing, and then we'll stop talking about it.
I gotta get my word in on him too, but okay.
Well, okay. People develop a opinion on a quarterback when they're coming out of college into the NFL. And there are, I'd say, 90% of analysts. Never changes.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jordan Love was a good college quarterback that looked like he had a really good end. And like I said,
yep,
he warranted a first-round pick. But there are people that will never move away from that.
Yes.
And that's why he's always going to get. That's why he gets that love.
It's why Trevor Lawrence is still a top 10 quarterback to a lot of people.
Right.
There's another one.
I like Trevor Lawrence, but again, I haven't watched him.
The Chargers. Why can't I think of the Chargers quarterback?
Oh,
you can't either. Herbert.
Herbert, yeah, played Oregon.
And I'm not saying like either of those guys are terrible quarterbacks, but I don't think they've done enough to.
They haven't lived up to expectations, right? Yeah, because those guys were. They're going to be like from when they were sophomores. People were like, these guys are going to be number one picks. With Lawrence, he was a freshman.
Right.
Took Clemson to the championship, and
right.
and that was the bar. So
yeah, I do think Lions fans are kind of like overcompensating for the media a little bit. Like the media is definitely exaggerating, I think, how good Jordan Love is. Mm-hmm. I think Lions fans are a little bit in the other direction. Some Lions fans, not all Lions fans. I think back to the 2023 game against the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
That is the version of Jordan Love that I think the media sees. He was incredible that night. Afternoon, whatever. Torched the Lions. Some ridiculous throws. And I think that's, he makes some pretty big highlight reel throws. Splitting coverage, getting outside the pocket, dropping a dime. He does that more than Jared Goff does it. And we are a society driven by highlights. We develop opinions based on highlights. And not a lot of what Jared Goff does is sexy. It's a lot of read,
everything else
break the mic
them
throws.
Is.
Yes, right. It's giving his players the opportunities to make big plays, and people discredit Jared Goff for that, for making the right read, for putting the ball in the right spot to maximize yak, for reading the defense, manipulating the defense with your eyes. That sort of stuff does not get you highlights, does not get you on SportsCenter, does not get you in YouTube compilations. But Jordan Love does some of that stuff. And so it inflates his value, I think, nationally. But you're right. You're right in that everything, like there's too much inconsistency. There's too many YOLO balls. There's too much throwing off his back foot. But the YOLO balls kind of work to his advantage a lot too, right? Because he'll connect on some and he'll get all these freaking pass interference penalties.
They have 5 wide receiver ones, so.
That's right.
So, I think it was LJ, I'm not 100%, asked if I had seen the Athletics quarterback tiering.
Yeah.
I have not. So,
do you want to look at it real quick?
Yes, I pulled it up. And to prevent spoilers, I noticed there's a little label where you can tab each tier. Yes. So I just did a tier 1. And so I'm going to look at who's in tier 1 and tell you, and I'll say whatever.
I'll show a little bit on stream. I don't want to show too much because it's behind a paywall and I want to respect that.
But I haven't looked. I saw you have a little conversation with some of the guys, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
And I'll throw the link in chat if you're a subscriber to the Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I chat in my own chat?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3. They have 4 guys. Oh, wait. No, they have 5 tier 1? Oh, interesting. I was not expecting 5.
No, Matthew Stafford slipped into the first tier.
Okay.
I don't know if that includes his cane.
I get Mahomes. Well, we're going to talk about Stafford in a minute. Don't you worry.
It's okay.
I get Mahomes. Okay, Burrow's electric. I'm a huge Josh Allen believer. MVP season, right?
Tier.
And Lamar all makes sense. Those are the four I thought would be there. I did not expect Matthew Stafford to be in that conversation, especially at his age and with his injuries that he's been dealing with over the recent years and currently. Okay, that being said, let's talk real fast about Matthew Stafford's rehabilitation process. Can we do that?
Sure.
Have you seen what they're doing with him?
I saw there was some like chamber he was going into.
Yep. Basically, they're like, "Oh, you have like a significant back injury. Well, let's just put you in this little like hyperbolic type chamber." It's not hyperbolic. I forget that. I'm not mispronouncing the word, but hyperbaric. Is that right? What is it?
Yeah. That's a thing.
But it's like it's supposed to be like a new aged advanced one, and they're like, let's just put him in that, and that'll fix his back, right? And then they're like, oh, he was supposed to come back,
right?
And now he's not coming back, and now he's not back again, and then, so like, what's going on with that situation? So, yeah,
the immortalizer, immortalizer, or whatever. I saw that was like the company name, which is very funny. The immortalizer.
So I'm I don't think I would have put Stafford in tier 1. All right, tier 2.
Well, if you see the votes, by the way, 26 of the 50 said tier 1, 23 said tier 2, 1 said tier 3. And as someone pointed out, let me read this quote from a defensive coordinator, an anonymous defensive coordinator. If you just click on the guy, this I think this is a really cool article, by the way. And you can you have a drop down so you can see the votes per year. Mm-hmm. This is just a very impressive setup, and these are the kind of things that The Athletic does that makes me very happy I'm a subscriber. But let me read this defensive coordinator quote on Matthew Stafford from an anonymous DC. Says, I guarantee all of your 1 votes for Stafford came from offensive coaches. Offensive coaches kiss this guy's ass all the time, especially guys from that system. He's really good, though. I would take him over Herbert because he's a better passer with better timing.
Look, I'm a Stafford fan, not as much a fan as you, but I really like Stafford.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put him in tier 1.
Stafford's problem has always been the same, is too prone to mistakes, too turnover. There's still too many turnovers. He's
still very much an old school gunslinger. Yep.
Jared Goff was 8th, tier 2.
Hold on.
Okay.
Tier 2 is Jaden Daniels, which I'm okay with.
Sure.
Herbert, 7.
Yep. Down quite a bit.
Right. So Herbert, Goff, Stroud, Hurts,
Mayfield.
Baker.
This is a huge tier.
Baker, Dak, Love, and Purdy. Ooh. Well, at least Goff's in the top 10, which I think is respectful.
Yeah.
I do think Daniels should for sure be 6. I'm a bigger CJ Stroud fan than I really would care to admit.
Okay. Because of the Ohio Stateness.
Right.
Yep. How many?
He should be high.
Jordan, that's pretty split.
He should be in the top 10. Man, it's hard to. Hurts has really developed into something.
It feels like this tier is too long. Tua's got to be way lower. Tua's a 17.
Is he down at 4? Ooh. All right.
But doesn't this feel like, I don't know? Does Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love deserve to be in the same tier?
No, probably not. No, but
Gino's way down there. If there's a guy that I think has a chance to jump the most this year, it's Bo Nix. What?
We're getting. I just looked at tier 3.
Yeah.
Tier 3. Aaron Rodgers. Come on.
Look at his graph, by the way. Look at his graph. If you open up his page and just watch this precipitous drop off.
He's still too high.
He's still too high? Who below him would you have higher?
Tua.
No.
I would have Tua higher. Trevor Lawrence higher.
Maybe Trevor Lawrence.
I don't know about Geno, but
you know what? You know what? Like,
too high on Sam Darnold.
Look how bad the quarterbacks get once you get into the 20s.
It does. Man, Drake May ahead of Caleb is surprising to me. I really like Bryce Young.
Like,
I
think this serves as a very stark reminder that getting a backup quarterback that can run an offense is hard, because Joe Flacco is a starter in the league. Daniel Jones is a starter in this league. Anthony Richardson might be a starter in this league. J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, like,
let's get serious.
Okay.
Kyler Murray, Tua, and Trevor should all be in the same tier as
Brock Purdy, Jordan
Love, Purdy,
Prescott.
Dak. I'm more of a Baker fan.
I am too.
So I'm okay with Baker.
I think after Baker is where tier 2 should cut off. Then it's Dak, Jordan, Purdy, Murray, sure, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Trevor.
No Aaron Rodgers. There's not a world that we live in that I'm taking Aaron Rodgers now.
He's going to be a little better this year. Not a lot, a little better. He finished the season kind of strong.
I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers this year over Tua or Trevor. There's no way. Guys,
what is Tua shot? I'm with How Am I Not Myself. Why are you so high on Tua?
I feel like he's a better quarterback. Like I like his the way he reads things. I like his ability to take shots. He's not the player he was at Bama, right?
But let me just clarification, person. Take shots downfield is what you mean.
Yeah, he's got weapons. That's where his weapons are.
He is
when he snaps the ball.
He's not good at taking shots.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That is what is getting him in trouble.
But I'm taking Lawrence and Tua over this version of Aaron Rodgers.
Nah, you're just hating.
Oh,
you're just hating. Yes.
No. Dude, guys, have you watched Aaron Rodgers? Like, did you watch any of his Jets game? Because they were on national TV like
way too much.
Half the time
and now the Steelers are going to be too.
And he was horrible. He was so bad. Like, I'm enjoying that he's still around so that I can continue my hatred towards him because I've been on the right side of history here the last 2 years. Like, he has not been good.
He was pretty good in December and beyond.
Okay. What was his I'm going to find it now. Now you're making me look him up.
Good. Get him in that search history of yours.
Yeah, it hasn't been there in a while because he hasn't needed to be.
I think he was better than you think he was last year.
No.
No. Just no.
He wasn't. He didn't throw for 4,000 yards. His quarterback rating was the second worst of his career. Mm-hmm. Now, other than like his first 2 years in the league, right?
Okay, so not.
Once he became established. I mean, once he became like an established quarterback.
But 90.5 is not a horrible passer rating.
What? Okay, hold on. What was? I want to find the game. QBR. He had a QBR in. Oh no, I guess I can't count that. That was only one game. All right, it was terrible. No, it was. He only played one game that season. Did you see his QBR the year that he got where he tore his?
He played one drive.
I know. That's why I said I can't count it. I said I can't count that.
Yeah, you certainly can't.
I'm looking for a. See, I'm being reasonable. Where's his? Where is it? Where would I'm looking for?
I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't washed. I'm saying he's even a fraction of a percentage of what he was is better than Tua.
No.
Yes.
No. No. No, he is not the quarterback that will get his gold jacket down the road. He's not.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, he will get the gold jacket, but it's not because of how he's playing now. I will agree with that.
Why I can't find the QBR now. Now I can just find
his QBR for the season last year. Is that what you want?
No, No, I was looking for a specific game. I see his rating.
You're looking for 12-29 against the Buffalo Bills, where he went 12 of 18 for 112 yards and 2 interceptions. He had a QBR of 1.1.
There you go.
That's what you're looking for.
That was the December that he was having that was so good, right?
Yeah, because the other 4 games he was great. The other 4 games he combined for 8 touchdowns and 1 interception.
A 28-11 interception rate is not great. 28-11 is not great.
That's not bad at all.
Dude, look at some of his years when he was like actually Aaron Rodgers.
Yes,
when it was
listen, we are not comparing Aaron Rodgers now to Aaron Rodgers then. We are comparing Aaron Rodgers now to Tua now.
All right, now we're gonna look to it. I'm going down the rabbit hole.
I understand Aaron Rodgers used to never throw interceptions and be electric, and no one is arguing he is still that quarterback. No one.
I think the only I think the fact that Tua is injured all the time has maybe skewed people's perspective on him. When he's actually like healthy, I think he's a good quarterback. He just isn't always healthy. That's the problem. I mean, missed 6 games last year. Yeah. But like his quarterback rating for last year was 101. A full 10 points higher. He only had 2 games where he went below essentially 90. And that's what Rodgers averaged for the whole year. 90, basically, right? Like
sure.
And Tua had 2 games that were below 90. I mean, if you want to count the 89.4 as a third game, then go ahead. But that's pretty much even, in my opinion. But everything else is over 100 or close to. I don't know. All right.
We're getting ourselves worked up over something that neither of us are even that passionate about.
Wow.
By the way, to cleanse everyone's palate, here's a cool chart from FTN Fantasy. Quarterbacks that excel versus man coverage. Jared Goff, way out in front in EPA per dropback against man coverage, but rarely faces it, interestingly enough.
Because everybody's scared.
Straight. Everybody's scared of these wide receivers.
Yeah, well, look, when you have JMO and then slot options and then you run the ball so much, like you have to play the zone against the Lions. They run so much, and then you have to account for JMO's speed. Like, you have to play zone the majority of the time. That's just the way it is. And then because when we are Brian Flores and you're like, hey, I know they're the best team in the NFL against the blitz, but guess what I'm going to do anyways? I'm going to blitz, and I'm going to play man behind blitz. And oh no, I've lost all of my games against Detroit. Right. So like,
not to bring Tua back into the conversation, but it is very funny to see his man coverage rate well below everyone else. And again, that makes a ton of sense. They've got so much speed.
Yeah.
Which is why he's probably so far right on this graph too, is because anytime you dare go man against him, I mean, that'll be something kind of interesting to watch for joint practices, right? How are the Lions going to...
I didn't see... Where was Rodgers on that list?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see. I closed it out. I shouldn't have closed it out because I'm going to use that for notes. I'll pull it back up. Real quick, and then we should get back into it. What team was he on? Jets. He's right there. It's on the wrong side of the middle, but closer to the middle than not.
Weird.
Yeah. Who were his wide receivers he was throwing to? All of his dumb cronies.
Better, though, right?
Well, yeah, because this is a wide receiver chart. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Which guys are getting open in man coverage?
Man.
And to be clear, Aaron Rodgers' wide receiver room was a problem of his own making.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they weren't terrible, right? Like
thank
he had.
Thank you, LJ. They did have Rookie of the Year, Garrett Wilson. You know, but whatever. Sure. Terrible.
For how much of the year
really
do you get injured? Yeah, maybe that.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. They should have better backups that aren't, you know. I don't even remember who is guys that he insisted on bringing over where, because they're so bad.
There's one that's still there because I was watching a mic'd up Aaron AG thing. I'm like, oh, he's still there? I think it was Lazard.
Yeah. Lazard. I had a screensaver with Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb walking off Lambeau Field together. Heads lowered. Sad.
Okay, so they did have Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. I kind of forgot they had Devontae Adams last year, too. But then it was Allen Lazard.
Let me tell you, it's not like Devontae can get loose in man coverage. Oh.
All right. I'm conceding that point. Let me concede that point. But then, yeah, Allen Lazard, Mike Williams. I don't even know which Mike Williams that is at this point. Xavier Gipson. Tight end is Ty Conklin, who's okay. All right. Let's get back into it.
I'm looking for my picture here that I want. I gotta go way back.
I've got a sting right here that's bothering the crap out of me.
You still have a stinger in your arm?
I don't know. I didn't pull any of them out.
I hope
I don't see any of them in there.
Oh, man. Can you see this? This was my screensaver for a long time.
You are such a troll.
So sad.
All right, you ready to go? Oh no!
Right.
Wait, has this title been here the entire time? I thought I changed it. Oh, I didn't. Did anyone say anything about the title? Doesn't matter now, but let's say joint practices preview. Chet, you're supposed to be on top of that for me.
For the people who are now joining the show an hour and 37 minutes in, we got that title fixed for you.
Anyone who jumps around on YouTube and is just like, that's the problem though. Like the YouTube thumbnail is going to be like, didn't I already watch this episode?
And then they're going to fast forward and be like, wait a minute, did I change videos?
Yeah. Oh well. I believe they were wasps. I don't know. They're the black and yellow stripy ones. Those wasps.
Yeah, those are they could be either.
I don't know. I clearly didn't see them because I had apparently stepped in their territory without noticing.
It's pretty awesome, man.
That was great. They were not bumblebees. Colorado, right. We'll catch that on the other end.
Did you add the Manu one?
Yep.
From Joey.
Yep. Yeah. Joey Tiger. Joe EA Tiger. I think there's. All right. Steelers uniform. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Midweek Mailbag, answering your questions as we get closer and closer to joint practices, preseason game 3 at Ford Field, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And, of course, the regular season.
Afternoon game. Give me good.
Both of the next 2 are afternoon games. I'm so excited about that.
Very excited.
Our next question here comes from Nate S., one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers. Appreciate the support, Nate. Says, while we still have 2 weeks until the final roster is complete, I really liked what I saw out of Jackson Meeks. Are there any likely practice squad players on the current roster you'd activate to the active roster so that player is not poached if a different team tries to sign them? So I think what the question is trying to...
The Trevor Nowoski treatment, right?
Right. Yes, guys that will make the practice squad, but if tried to get poached from another team, the Lions would promote them. Now, obviously, the Lions don't have a practice squad yet. Everyone is just on a 90-man roster. But a guy like Jackson Meeks is, I think, a guy that both of us think would make the practice squad if he gets through waivers. So who's a guy that would fit into that category that we're projecting to be on the practice squad, but they are going to protect like crazy to make sure they don't lose?
So it's just high upside developmental guys, right? Yeah. Meeks is, of course, in that category. I think his ability to play X makes him a very natural Tim Patrick replacement. Tesla is going to, he's going to be that kind of starting X, but they like to shift him around, whereas Meeks is more of you're going to stay at the X, and that's fine. Like that's a role that we need, someone that can be big, strong over the middle and, and contested catches. And Meeks is really good at that. I do think they would protect Meeks. The other guy that I'll pick is Ian Kennelly. I think he is there's enough upside there that he is, in my opinion, might be the UDFA closest to making the team. And so I would say Kennelly is a guy that they would try and sign him as opposed to losing him.
And that's working under the assumption that Lawrence Strickland makes the teams.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right. Like, so like, I'm talking specifically about,
would you say the same thing about Strickland? If Strickland was the guy that was on the practice squad, they would protect him.
Let's do this. We're talking as if our 53-man roster happens. So if you don't know what our 53-man roster is and you're listening, go look it up.
Pause.
Pride of Detroit right now.
PrideOfDetroit.com.
And we both have Strickland in. I'm guessing Norris ends up on IR. That's my guess, is if you're talking about having to wait 2 weeks to reevaluate where he is from a concussion and something that was as scary as that, my guess is that's probably where he ends up. It
could also be one of those the 2 to return IRs that you place 100% on cut down day.
Yes, and that's my guess. I'm speculating, but based on the severity, the reaction, what they're talking about after, and I'm at the point where I'm thinking, who's going to be more valuable, a safety 5 in Kennelly or a corner 6 in like Nick Whiteside, who was the guy that we picked in? For me, I could see them saying, man, Kennelly's got more upside. Sure. We're going to go a little light at corner, maybe play Avante a little bit more at corner, and then because we want to keep Kennelly. So Kennelly and Meeks are my leading 2 guys that I think they would try and protect.
I think I would probably just throw Keith Cooper into that conversation as well.
Okay.
But here's the other point that needs to be made here, though. The Lions might be at a point where they can't protect players. Because in order to promote someone to the 53, you have to have a spot.
Yep.
And I'm not sure the Lions are going to have a spot. Like, injuries are like the easiest way to create a spot is injuries. And I know that sounds crude. It is crude. But like, that's where this team is at right now. Like, their 53 is so stacked that they're going to have to lose some developmental guys, whether it's waiver wire when they're on cutdown day or whether it means getting their practice squad poached. Like, that is going to happen to this team. And as much as they're going to want to keep around all of those guys, you can't. And actually, Brad Holmes had an interview with Kevin Clark on ESPN where he kind of talked about this a little bit, where he's like, back in 2021, we could have all of these we could have as many developmental projects as we wanted. We were a developmental team. We're not at that point anymore. And, you could maybe project that into drafting future, and maybe they aren't going to do these kind of like Giovanni Manu type projects anymore because it is costing them a roster spot, which is valuable for a team that relies on their depth as much as they do. And so I think it's important to point out that they may want to keep these guys around long term and want a development and have a practice squad spot devoted to them. But if a team comes ready to sign that guy off their roster, a lot of times they're just going to have to let him go, even if they want to keep him.
So for me, if you're like, oh, we got to keep Kennelly, I could see them shorting themselves at like corner. Yeah. If they were like, oh, we got to keep Meeks, I could see them shorting themselves maybe like at tight end. Like you're sticking with 2 tight ends. Like I could see it's a little harder with the defensive linemen because I think Nate Lynn is a guy we'd have to talk about as well.
Sure.
As a guy that they might say, man, we don't want to lose him. And similarly, like Cooper, it's a lot harder for me to see a clean path outside of an injury where I'd be like, this is the position group that I would probably cut from in order to keep Cooper or Lynn. It gets harder on the defensive line because you have so many players that are currently injured and so many other players that are playing specific key roles. And it just gets a little bit muddier than it is with the other 2 guys, in my opinion. Yeah.
All right, let's move to our next question from Van the Man 14 on Twitter. Says, what are you looking forward to learning about the team from upcoming joint practices with Miami? After 2 preseason games, where are you looking for improvement?
We have a great handle, I think, on where the team is and the things that we've been preaching all year. You just want to see them continue, what is Manu going to look like, right? Is he continuing to trend upwards? Does can Jackson Meeks, continue to push? Is Tesla going to come down a little bit now that he's not facing the same corners every week? Can the secondary hang with a very, very speedy wide receiver core that Miami has? Because the secondary has been one of the huge pleasant surprises.
Correct.
They've been remarkable against tough wide receivers on the other side of the ball too. So like the biggest things that I want to learn from Miami is the secondary legit and can they handle that speed? And then 2, flip it. Can the Lions wide receivers open things up now that they're not against a really good, what looks like a really good secondary? So
yeah,
those are the 2 main points that I'm looking for.
That you stole both of mine, and the only the only thing I'll add is that the Lions wide receivers should have a field day because who knows if you know this from afar, but remember that Jalen Ramsey is no longer with the Dolphins. They lost their number 2 corner, who was like a really young, impressive guy. Kohu, I think is his name.
Yeah. And then injury. Right? Was he the injured or they another
torn ACL for him? Bullard, their safety, gone in free agency, and so they
got
brought
Minka.
Yes.
Yeah.
But everyone else there, like that is not a good corner group. That is you should be able to beat them on the perimeter. So I would love to see JMO have a big week. Would love to see maybe if Taslaw gets some ones. We'll see with that. I'm sure Khalif will get a lot of ones. But yeah, Taslaw is a guy where I'm like, I hope he gets some ones and I hope he dominates because I think he could.
This is a prime opportunity to really test Taslaw. To say, look, we've been running Khalif through the ones because we know what he is.
Yep.
Let's test the rookie and see what kind of potential he has. And yeah, I would not be surprised if that occurs, like what you're suggesting right there. So like those perimeter battles are going to be the ones to watch for sure.
They also added Iffy, by the way. There's actually a couple players on defense.
Okay.
Is
he hurt?
I don't believe so. I saw his Instagram saying he was in Detroit like on Monday because Dan kind of mentioned this. They just played the Bears, I think, in Chicago, And so they just stayed.
I think so.
They just stayed in the Midwest.
Oh,
They didn't go back to Miami.
Where are they practicing?
I don't know. They probably only got one practice in because they played on Sunday, I think. So they might not have even gotten into practice before joint practice start.
They have to. Oh, maybe not.
And then Benito Jones is also still there, which brings me to my other kind of matchup to watch. So I don't know much about Zach Seiler. He's a defensive tackle for them. He had 10 sacks last year. And so that could be a nice little matchup for Detroit's interior offensive line, seeing as there's so much moving parts over there. I was looking, he was like their second or third highest graded
He just got an extension, didn't he?
Maybe.
Yeah. He's from Michigan.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I should probably know him more. And then you got Chop over there as well, Chop Robinson.
He's the guy who went to Ferris, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I believe.
Oh,
so
he did.
Someone in the chat will tell me.
Yep, he did. I thought when you said he went to, he's a 7th round pick, but he had 10
Sorry,
sacks
he grew up in the state of Michigan, went to Ferris.
Gotcha. So I don't know. The defensive line versus their defensive line versus our offensive line to me is also, they got Chubb over there as well, Bradley Chubb. A decent defensive front and a different defensive front that I think could provide their own challenges there. All right, next question from Dan Fisk. Dan Fisk says, I really enjoyed watching the Gibbs and Tashard choice dynamic in the game film review the Lions put out. What other players have the strongest connection to assistant coaches / position coaches?
This is a good question because the Gibbs choice relationship is unique in the fact that it extends over multiple seasons, right?
Sure.
Like they've known each other for years. So which coach and player have been around together?
Just backing up because Keith Battle in our YouTube pointed out Kenneth Grant is also in Miami. So I really do think that interior defensive line should be a fun little challenge. Sorry.
So the Lions have had some turnover and with their position coaches, moving them around, or they exited with the other guys. So it's the only guys that I think that have been together for a significant amount of time are Goff and Delhomme, right? They've been together since jump.
Goff and who?
Jeez, Mark Brunell.
Delhomme.
Jake Delhomme. Weren't they both Jaguars? Yeah, Brunell. Yes. My goodness. Sorry, Mark. But yeah, Brunell and Goff
and the O-line.
It's and Hank. Man, I love Hank.
Hank and Panay are pretty darn close.
That's what you actually yes. Go ahead. Yours is a much better answer than mine.
I think the way Hank talks about Panay sometimes is just like so lovingly, and I mean it was him, it was Frank when he was here. It was Decker too. Decker loves the guy. They talk about Decker was the one that convinced them to keep him around, right? When there was a regime change here. And so I think that OL deal or OL player coach relationship is probably the tightest on the team. You're right. Like every other position has gone through a lot of turmoil, but I would say like JMO and God, now I'm drawing a blank. Scotty.
The new
Scotty. Yeah. Like I think there is a budding relationship there because both those guys are pretty high energy out there on the practice field, and I think feed off each other a little bit.
The Goff and Brunell relationship is unique in its professionalism, right? Like they don't have the you don't see it as outwardly because they're not really like rah guys, right? Yeah. But it's Brunell played for 18 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, and then he loves Goff. And so it's hard. It's hard to really get a better answer than, Hank and his boys.
Right. Next question here. This one actually comes from our Twitch chat, which is always a good reminder. Hey, come join us live either on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit or youtube.com/@Pride of Detroit. we answer a bunch of questions in between segments if you're listening to us on the podcast version. So you're missing some extra content by not being part of our live audience. And you can also catch replays of it on YouTube and Twitch. But anyways, Joe A. Tiger asks, you probably are going to talk about it some in the second segment, but Giovanni Manu discussion is fascinating to me. Some say he was awesome. Some say he stunk. Curious of your thoughts and if we should still grade him on a curve.
I do think you should still grade him on a curve because you want slow, incremental, and steady progress forward. And I believe you're getting that.
Yeah.
Is he playing well enough to supplant Dan Skipper as OT3? No, he's not. But he is way farther than he was a year ago. And I would even argue he's better today than he was when camp started, 2.5 weeks ago or whatever it was, right? So you've seen the progress. He was better than last year when camp started. He's better now than he was when camp started. And so you're seeing him improve. That's great. That's great. You mentioned it in the first segment. He's still, I believe it was in the first segment, or might have been the break, where you talking about how he's recognizing when he's tipping plays and he's working to correct them. And it's still a process. So you still need a little bit of a curve when you're assessing where he's at. But I'm content, but I know there's still a lot more to go.
Yeah. I'll admit, I think my expectations were a little bit too high going into training camp. And in that aspect, maybe his performance has been a little bit of disappointment, but I think a very simple way to display how much he's improved is that he's not the worst offensive tackle on the roster. In fact,
that's true.
He might be OT4. Like,
I think he is.
Jamarco and him are about on the same level, I would say right now.
Yeah, but if you're making decisions,
right?
He's
no, he's going to make the team. To be clear, he wouldn't. If it's between him and Jamarco, he's going to make the team simply because the ceiling is much higher. But I mean, in terms of performance right now, I'd say those two are pretty close to each other. He sees the improvement himself. He talked about the mental improvement, where a lot of that part of the game is becoming second nature to him, and so now it's just a matter of like putting it all together. But like, it's still very up and down. And I think maybe that's why you're hearing conflicted reports from camp or from the games, is that if you only notice the good play, like if you only are looking for the good plays, you're going to find them. They're out there. Mm-hmm. But also if you're only looking for the bad plays, you're going to find them because they're there too. And so, where it was like, it almost felt like he was losing 75% of the reps last year. Like now it's 50. Like that's kind of how it feels to me right now.
Okay.
All right. We'll close out the show with this question. To be clear, this was asked not by me. This was a legitimate question from Ryan J, one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers. Says, in the daily updates from training camp, I haven't heard a lot of consistency, positivity about Jake Bates. Is this worrisome? Are there any other kickers in camp to help push him or create some competition? So the answer to the second question there is no. There is not, which is probably answering your first question, which is this worrisome? Well, if they haven't brought in another kicker, the answer is probably no. But would I like to see him be better? Yeah, because he hasn't been great. I mean, it's nothing like it was last year, but it's still like 60 to 70% makes instead of what you want in like the 80 to 90%, right? Am I wrong?
Well, last year he was garbage and he had a terrific season.
He did.
And so this year he's much better than he was last year in camp.
Sure.
But he's still not connecting at what he does when the bright lights are on and he's on Ford Field turf.
That to me is maybe something that's at least something to keep an eye on, though, right? Like all these kicks that we're seeing in training camp is outdoors. Mm-hmm. He did not play outdoors very much last year. He will this year.
The trick is we only see a small portion, right?
Yes. This is a good point to make. Yes.
we only see a small portion of what he's actually connecting on or what that he's actually kicking, right? Misses or not, right? There's a lot more behind the scenes.
There's a lot during practice, like
a lot during practice that we
where 7-on-7s are happening on one field. OLDL is happening later. Jake Bates is there kicking field goals, and no one is paying attention to them because there's more interesting things happening.
Right. So I'm not worried because he looks better than he did last year. And last year he ended up being great. If he goes into the regular season and he kicks like he is at camp, well, maybe you get a little bit, your heart beating a little bit, right?
Sure.
But I also think Dave Phipp uses training camp like it's his own experimental factory. Here he's like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this, right? And because he's got a lot of bodies and he can try a lot of different things, and he tests limits. So I'm not overly worried because, we have the same conversation when we're watching Jack Fox hit punts, and we're like, when he connects, it's insane.
It's insane.
But then we're also saying, well, was that a miss hit? Or is that him trying to put a different spin on the ball and maybe he didn't? That was purposeful. It's hard for us to know, right? And it's a running joke now with you because every time he mishits one, you're like, was that on purpose? Because I am a Jack Fox apologizer. He does nothing wrong, in my opinion. And so it's hard to tell with the kicks. Like sometimes you can tell when he's purposefully trying to hit the ball to drop it into the zone, or maybe he's trying to do this. If there is a flaw to his game, it does tend to come when he tries to aim it instead of kick it. Right?
Yes. When he just decides to kick the crap out of the ball, it's like dead center from 70.
Yeah. Yeah. But he does spend a lot of time aiming. And that's where I think the misses come in, and he's gotta Matthew Stafford this thing and just be like, I trust my leg, and I'm going to just let it go.
I think
Stafford.
I think for me, it's just until the Lions show me a sign that they're worried, I'm not going to bother being worried. And
Dave Phipp said he could be the greatest of all time.
Right. Which I think, to me, very surprising to hear from Phipp, because he's usually, like, he gives his guys a lot of credit. He doesn't usually say that sort of thing about a player.
No. Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not happy with how he's kicking in training camp. I don't think anyone should be happy with how he's kicking in training camp necessarily, but the worry is not there until the Lions show sign of like, are we sure about this guy? And they have not shown even the slightest of those signs yet.
When I was taking notes, I never wrote about him, like, what was his percentage? He made this many out of this many. I never once, when I wrote observations, did I acknowledge that. And it got to a point where I just stopped keeping track if he was even making or missing, because I'm like, it doesn't matter right now.
So your policy is, la, 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 I can't see, I can't hear this problem.
No, my policy was they're going to roll with them.
Either way.
Miss this, whether he hits this kick right now or not.
That's probably
and so I just stopped writing it down.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to close things out there. Let's see what we got coming up. For Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, we're going to have training camp videos both Wednesday and Thursday after each joint practices. We're also going to have a Pride of Detroit PODcast Wednesday night recording to kind of preview the upcoming preseason game and talk maybe a little about what happened on day one of joint practices. We'll have a PODD video for subscribers after the preseason game on Saturday, live from Ford Field, and a whole bunch of other content coming your way. So make sure you're subscribed to the Pride of Detroit podcast. If you want all that extra training camp, awesome content, bonus content, make sure you're subscribed to Pride of Detroit Direct, which is something different. Go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe for more information there. But until next time, that's Eric over there. I'm Jeremy. Thank you all for listening. It's Chaos. Be kind.
Recording stopped.
All right. All right. Colorado Lions with 9 months subscribed to the channel says, can you explain how the Lions dime works and who comes into play?
Vontae Maddox. It's really going to be Terrion and Reed on the outside, and then Amik in the nickel, and then when they want to go dime, it's going to be Avonte Maddox, and then you have your 2 all-pro safeties behind them. And
you think it's any chance it's Rock?
Light them up. No.
Okay.
Well, maybe any chance, sure, but it should be Avonte. Avonte has made a career out of playing out of the slot.
Yep, that is very true. And
he seems to be the preferred guy too.
To dig a little deeper, who comes off the field in a dime package? Who are you taking off the field?
Linebacker, Alex. Oof,
Alex,
hard. It's Alex though.
You don't think it's Derek?
I mean, you could leave. No, Derek's already going to be off in nickel.
Oh,
when you're in nickel,
there's
Derek's
only one linebacker
off, right?
In these, sorry, yes,
right, yeah, and it's probably going to be Jack.
Yes,
yeah. You could get tricky and take the nose off, and then keep Alex like kind of loose, and then keep Jack at the mic, or you could flip it and you could maybe put Alex at the mic because he has better coverage, and then bring Derek on and have Derek be like an edge. Yep. You could do that.
Sure.
If you want to get tricky with your front, but in your base kind of set, I'd keep Jack. Take both your linebackers off.
Yeah, because Jack can do a lot of things for you, right? He can blitz.
Jack
he can cover.
Man.
If he hits,
big and athletic.
Yeah,
he is coming into his own. This is going to be. There's a reason Dan Campbell said this is Jack Campbell's defense, because this should be the year of Jack Campbell.
In your roster projections, why Dorsey over Whiteside? I believe we kept both. Right?
No, we didn't keep Dorsey.
Oh, we didn't?
No. Yeah, no, we did. We did. Because they usually keep 6. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up going with 6. But like I said, I could be talked into saying Whiteside is good, but Kennelly has more upside, and I don't want to lose him.
Yeah.
So,
Dan, you'll have to submit that question again. I don't know where it is or what you're talking about. How much better will special teams be in the regular season? How many first teamers play special teams? Ooh, not a ton, but some. Like Kirby plays special teams.
It just depends what, right? Like if you're doing field goal, then you're going to see a lot of the first team.
I don't think anyone cares.
Right, but that's just. No,
I think it's more like kickoff and kicker. No one cares about who's on the field goal team. It's just about the field goal kicker.
It was asked.
But how much better will the special teams be? The kicking game hasn't been a problem in preseason.
No, but there's going to be let's see who sat out that maybe won't, who sat out in the preseason that will be on special teams. Let's do that. Brock Wright, maybe Sam, Khalif, probably Dominic Lovett. Kirby would be on kickoffs. Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, and probably Meek.
Yeah. So
those are all guys,
like half of your kickoff unit.
Yeah, those are all guys that are probably going to be considered. And did I say Vaki? Vaki, if I didn't say.
Well, yeah, true.
But I mean, like, getting right, Vaki, those are big pieces.
Sure.
Like, and Derek Barnes, like, those are all big pieces on special teams. And Kirby's a big special teamer, like you said, on kickoffs. And then Lovett and Khalif and Dorsey, those are all big punt return guys. Like those, and Rock. Oh no, Rock is played, so I can't include him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna get like a good chunk of guys.
We talked a little bit about kick returners earlier. I think it's between about 4 players. If Khalil Dorsey returns 5, but the 5 that we identified based on how they're using him in practices: Khalif, Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki, Grant Stewart, and Khalil Dorsey. Those 5. I don't think we'll see J-Mo return a kickoff.
No.
A couple questions about the linebackers.
He's not good at fielding those things.
No, he's not.
He just isn't.
Barnes and Jack Campbell, do you have any observations for them in camp so far? It has been kind of quiet about those guys. I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about them.
I think Jack looks better.
Yeah.
I think Jack has showed a little bit more range in his coverage. He plays downhill. He looks incredibly strong. He's been very tight coverage on a lot of like plays out in the flat or screens, and he has there's not been a lot of yak against guys that Jack has allowed catches to. Let's put it that way.
Do you feel anything about Barnes? Because I'm trying to rack my brain of times that Barnes stand out, and it's mostly like one-on-one stuff. I haven't seen him do a lot, like make a lot of team drilled plays.
I haven't either.
Okay.
I want to respond here to Catchy. I know he returned kicks at Alabama, but I've also watched J-Mo in person try and field kicks, and it's an adventure. It really is. I don't know if he's lost the feel for it or what, and you can ask pretty much anyone else on the beat. I would say the same thing. He has lost. If he's either he just doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah.
I'd say 1 out of every 3 ends up on the ground.
It's probably about accurate. All right, Dan has a very complicated question about the new 90-man roster rule that the Lions helped implement. They did implement that, right? They extended the... Here's the thing, Dan. This is a new rule, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to give you an accurate answer unless we dig into the rules. But ask, what happens if and when we reach 21 players on IR with 69 on the 53 in practice squad? The 90 is the max, right? Do we lose a practice squad spot if it goes above 21? Isn't that why we try to do injury settlements? Didn't the Lions try to add a rule about this past offseason?
Injury settlements is the answer, Dan. No.
You'll just have to cut them.
Yeah. Because with IR, it's about you maintain them on your roster because you have you're still paying them. If it gets to a point where you're like, hey, you're in the last year of your contract, we'll give you an injury settlement that covers what you would have made it by staying on IR, but then you now get freedom and you were in the contract year anyways, the player is going to more than likely take that because it's an opportunity for them to be cut loose. Even if Dan says, and Dan could make a under the table, like, hey, we're going to cut you and because you're going to be a free agent anyways, we'll give you your money in an injury settlement so that you still make the same amount.
Right.
But if you let us cut you, we'll bring you back on a futures contract, right? So like there could be an incentive of we'll give you a second chance to show that you've got it, right? So like for example, right now let's say with Kai Robichaud, right? He could get an injury settlement at any time, but like he could be a guy where you're like, hey, we'd like to bring you back. At the same time, I could see them keep him because they've got him on a really cheap UDFA rookie contract, and so there's not really an incentive beyond a spot on that what's eventually a 90-man roster.
Right.
So,
I mean, theoretically, yes, they could put more guys on IR. They could go above 21 if they wanted to, but yes, they would have to then cut into their 69-man roster, right?
Right. Yeah, you can only max out, but there's ways to jump out of it. Is what I guess I'm getting at. And you do the and look, we've heard of deals where promises get made behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There, if you do this for me, I'll make sure this happens for you in the offseason. Right. And we've heard that the Lions are really good about holding up their end of the deal on those as well.
Yep. Okay. I think we're probably going to get out here unless there's anything else you see in the questions here that you want to answer. It's getting around to be dinner time.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if you could hear all the pots and pans clanging around in the room next door. All right, cool.
Not at all. All right. Well, then, y'all, we will see you. I don't think we have set a time for the POD cast tomorrow, but we will be live tomorrow night after day 1 of joint practices with the Lions and Dolphins. Those kick off, I believe, at, 10:30 tomorrow? I think that's right.
Yes.
So there'll be a presser beforehand. Be some Mike McDaniel's presser availability from what I understand as well.
Oh, is that breaking news here, buddy?
I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna go to them.
No, the first one will be in the media room. I thought it's
Maybe.
the second one that will be outside.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't read the text that closely.
It's in an email too.
Whatever.
Check your email.
Either way, you guys will have plenty of coverage for the joint practices, as I probably will focus on one side of the ball one day, the other side of the ball the other day, because you have to compartmentalize during joint practices. If you're going to joint practices, don't try to watch everything because you will fail.
Nope. Yeah.
Try to pick. I mean, you'll
watch
naturally
what's in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Watch whatever they're doing on the field you're near, and you'll hear oohs and ahs from the other crowd.
If it's good enough, they'll have a highlight of it.
Later, yeah, when you come home. There'll be a YouTube compilation. Is Tyreek Hill injured? Is that true?
I don't
That's a
know.
bummer.
I thought he quit on his team, so I'm not sure.
Either way, stay tuned into Pride Detroit, the POD cast, and Pride Detroit Direct for all the coverage you need here for Detroit Lions training camp. But until then, thank you all for joining.